I'm telling you, everything helps, especially when it comes to negotiating that salary. Okay.
Money all around me. I look like I'm the man.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Crystal and welcome to my channel. If you guys haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I just want to say thank you guys so much for getting me to 1,000 subscribers. It's so crazy. I'm pretty sure this will be the first video that I upload since I've hit 1,000 subscribers. It's so crazy, it's so surreal. I did want to say thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. So as you guys can see by the title, today's video is going to be like a paralegal Q&A part 2. I already have part 1 up right here. I'm gonna insert it over here. If you guys have not seen part 1, please go ahead and go watch part 1. So part 2, I was actually gonna do a poll on YouTube community. So yeah, like I said, if you guys aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe because I post a lot on the YouTube community tab as well. I was gonna do a poll there, but then as I was scrolling through all of like the paralegal videos I posted in the past, I realized there was a lot of comments with questions that I hadn't answered yet. So I was like, you know what, let me just put all of these together and then make a part 2 of the paralegal Q&A. Yeah, let's just jump right on into it. So the first question is, can you make a list of paralegal jobs that are hiring in California? So I did respond to this person under my comments, but I did want to address this as well. So I did list some websites that I have personally used before in the past. So I put, you know, first, if you want to like get hired at, let's say, a specific company, like let's say, you know, you want to get hired at Amazon, go to like the Amazon's website, go to their legal, you know, tab, go to their job openings. And so that's a way to like see if a company is hiring, or, you know, a way to get your application out there. But I've also listed other ones. So I have LinkedIn, Indeed, and ZipRecruiter. I listed these because I have used all of these before. I want to say my job now I found on LinkedIn. Yeah, so I found it on LinkedIn, but I didn't apply on LinkedIn. Like I said, not necessarily LinkedIn, but there's a lot of like sketchiness going around out there. So I kind of use these websites to see who's hiring. And so once I, you know, found out through LinkedIn that the job that I wanted was hiring, I went to that job, to that company's website, and then went to go see if the opening was there as well. Sure enough, the opening was there. So I just submitted my application and applied through the company's website, but I found the opening through LinkedIn. So that's another tip if you guys like, you know, hadn't done that before, or if you guys hadn't heard of that, that's like definitely another good tip to see who's hiring. It's hard for me to just like put a list right here on the screen of like, or down in the comments, or a link about, you know, of every company that's hiring in California. That, I mean, that's such a broad area too, but I mean they probably meant LA, but I think I just put California. But yeah, so try that. There's so many like, you know, places out there. I know it's like super hard, but like shooting your resume out 5 times is not enough. Like your resume needs to get out there like multiple times, and then continue to follow up with the people. I know this isn't part of the question, but definitely continue to follow up if you know it's a position that you really want, especially if the position has an email address. Send your resume to that email address, send your CV to that email address. And yeah, I'm giving all like more good tips, but yes, do that. That's what I'm here for. But I'm like, you know, getting besides the point. So anyways, let's move on to the second question. They said, can you make a video showing us what a contract paralegal looks like? Okay. I know for confidentiality reasons you can't show, but maybe talk through what you have to do. What does your meeting entails? And thank you would be great. Okay. So I'll address the first one. So the first kind of question was like a 2-part. Honestly, I have a whole video that will answer that question, which is my video. I'll put it here. It's like the day in my life. I think it's the one where I'm like working from home. I like explain to you guys what I do from like logging in to logging out, my meetings, what that entails. Obviously, she was right, or whoever left this comment was right. For confidentiality reasons, I can't go into like the nitty gritty. I'll try to like sum it up a little bit more. So Basically, a contract paralegal is not a litigation paralegal. Like, I don't do litigation, so there is no plaintiff, there is no defense, that we're not arguing with anybody. Like, we're not trying to find discovery is not involved at all. So that's typically like litigation, right? So a contract paralegal is basically you discuss the terms, which honestly take longer. Drafting the contract, discussing the terms, making sure both parties agree on the terms, whether your contract is between McDonald's and Honda, like, you know, for an advertisement or whatever. Like, Honda wants to like be used inside of McDonald's new Happy Meal. I'm just speaking hypothetically. Both sides would have to agree on the terms that are going into the contract. So then once both sides agree on, like, you know, insurance, payment, dates, indemnity, there's like so many, you know, parts of the contract. Once both sides agree, you come together, and then, you know, the paralegal on each side, it could be on Honda side or on McDonald's side, would view the contract and then send it to the other side. And the other side would be like, okay, this was good, but actually I'm not really feeling this indemnity clause. Let's change that. Or, you know, that insurance is a little too high. What if something happens? We don't want to be liable. We're not a large company, even though McDonald's is large. I'm just using like an example. Hypothetically speaking, that's typically how it goes with being like a contract paralegal. So I hope that answered that part of your question. Second part of the question is, what does your meetings entail? That can be a range, obviously I can't say, but that can be literally a range of things. It could be, where are you, you know, with this contract, or have we reached an agreement with, you know, these dates with this contract? Anything basically within the contracts, and where we are, and are we up to date, just so like everyone can get on the same page, get on the same speed, things of that nature. The third question is, this video was helpful, thank you. As an entertainment paralegal, can you briefly explain your job responsibilities? I'm taking a paralegal studies course, and I think that I would enjoy working for an entertainment agency or something in that regard. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for commenting. I really appreciate it. Let's address the first part. I should have like broken these questions down into separate ones, because I have 10, but I know there's lots of questions within questions. So again, I always want to make these videos short, so I may not get to all of them, but if not, we'll just have a part 3, you know, nothing wrong with that. Briefly explain your job responsibilities. So I kind of explained that earlier, but basically, you know, I am the paralegal on, like, okay, let's say you have McDonald's and Honda, like I'm the paralegal on one of those sides. So, and you know what's super interesting too? So like, just because I do contracts and I'm a contract paralegal doesn't mean that within our company we don't have litigation paralegals too, because I mean, you hear people getting sued every day. Honda can get sued, McDonald's can get sued, McDonald's can sue someone. That's when like you go into the litigation department, but I'm more so negotiating contracts outside of litigation. Like for, you know, like an advertisement or a brand deal or things of that nature. Like I gave that example between Honda and McDonald's for like the commercial. So, you know, for a commercial, things like that. So that's basically like, you know, what my responsibilities entail. I reach out to people within our company and I say, hey, have we gotten a response back from them? Then I go ahead and reach out to the attorney that I report to, like, hey, these were their terms. Are we going to agree to them? Or, you know, I redline. So obviously the attorney has to have the final say so before documents go out. But smaller documents like, you know, NDAs, like non-disclosure agreement, like things like that I've mentioned, those, I mean, they pretty much trust like paralegals. I mean, not much goes into that, but like I said, if you're at a company like McDonald's or like Honda, like NDAs will need to be signed, because now you're discussing things that are just like on a greater scale of importance. So you don't want so like, let's say Honda and McDonald's would have an NDA, so that until that contract is like put into place or whatever, nothing that you guys discuss can be discussed with anybody else, because McDonald's may be coming out with a new Happy Meal, but they don't want Honda to now go share that. So Honda has to agree to their NDA, sign it, so that, you know, Honda doesn't go release, you know, all the goods, the information. So I really hope that example is helping. I'm trying my hardest. Last time I just kind of explained, but I thought maybe this time if I gave like 2 like company corporation examples, like Honda and McDonald's, you know, that would kind of help you guys on a greater scale. Like, of course, both of those companies, like I said, have litigation departments or whatever, but I'm more so like in the contract. So I guess that briefly explains my job responsibilities without going too deep. Then they said I'm taking a paralegal studies course. Oh yeah, no, for sure. If you've already addressed like the entertainment part and the contract, I think you'll really enjoy it. Like I said too, billables was a huge thing for me. That was a big thing that I was like having trouble with when I was in litigation, especially when COVID happened, because, you know, I didn't necessarily get laid off, thank God, but it was hard to meet my billables because COVID was a thing. So if courts were closed and things were getting backed up, then I necessarily wasn't able to do my job to its full extent, which meant my hours weren't getting cut short, but I just wasn't able to bill 6.5, 7 hours a day like I used to. You know, now it was like 4.5, and like your job, your bonuses and all that depends on billables when you're working in litigation. So I hope that helped. Okay, so moving on to the fourth question. This person said, would you say most paralegal jobs require a bachelor's degree versus an associate? That's actually a good question. I would say a bachelor's degree, and I only say this because if you're trying to get a position and you have an associate's degree and someone has a bachelor's degree, unfortunately, the world that we live in today, like, and people make jokes and say that you need almost a bachelor's to work at McDonald's now, but no, seriously, like, that's how tough like the workforce is. So if you have the option, if you have the means to get a bachelor's or an associate, I would definitely get a bachelor's degree. It'll probably take you longer longevity wise in your career. So I definitely suggest leaning towards the bachelor's if you have an option. If you already have a master's, you already have that. That's 2 years. It's only going to take you 2 more years to get your bachelor's. So yeah, I don't know. I'd say, especially if, you know, the type of company you want to work at, if you're trying to be on some like McDonald's Honda scale, then I'd say like definitely they're looking for people with bachelor's, and, you know, companies like that are competitive, you know, they want like the best of the best. And I literally am saying like McDonald's, excuse me, I'm saying like McDonald's and Honda, but maybe those aren't great examples. Maybe I'll use like McDonald's and ESPN or something, but you guys kind of get what I'm saying. This isn't like, you know, Joe Blow's law firm down the street, like, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if that is, you know, where you want to work, then there's nothing wrong with, you know, getting an associate. I'm sure they'd, you know, accept it. But I'm saying, if you want to be competitive in the field, if you want to try to make yourself, the way I think of it is I always try to make myself look as good as a candidate as possible. If I have a choice between a bachelor or a bachelor or associate, I'm gonna get the bachelor's. If I have an option between going my extra 1.5 years to paralegal school or not, and because you technically don't need your paralegal certificate to be a paralegal, I'm gonna go the extra. That's just kind of, you know, what was instilled in me, basically. So if you have the means, then by all means necessary, yes, go for your bachelor's. I'm like looking back at the question, but I heard most jobs want you to have at least a bachelor's. Yeah, I didn't read that second part of your question, but yes, no, you're so right. They do. Like I said, it's 2023, especially in this day and age. I feel like, you know, after COVID, a lot of people got laid off because during COVID, I feel like it was like a flow. So like, I feel like during COVID, a lot of people got laid off. Then when COVID started to end, they started hiring too many people. And then, as you've seen in the news, so many of these companies, after hiring so many people, they started to lay off again, like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and like all these people started laying off, all these companies started laying off all these people because they overhired. So like, when it comes to stuff like that, companies look at that. When it comes to who to lay off, like they look at, okay, this person has this person has this, like who's the better candidate, if that makes sense. If I didn't make sense and it sounds like I'm rambling, I'm really sorry, but I'm trying to like really get you to understand. Okay. So the next question, this is question number 5. It says, hi, can you share the starting pay in LA? I'm starting a paralegal program at Chaffey College in Rancho this week. Congratulations. I know exactly where Chaffey is. I know a few people who actually went to Chaffey. For those of you that don't know, Chaffey is a community college. It's not a 4-year university, but I mean, you're getting your paralegal certificate at the end of the day. So congratulations to you on that. So I actually did some research prior to, I didn't want to necessarily come on here and say my starting paralegal salary, because you guys have to remember, when I became a paralegal, I was already working within a firm. as a file clerk, so I kind of just like was like promoted to a paralegal once I got my certificate. So, and I also too don't want to say what my starting goal was at 5 years ago. I also don't want to say that because again, that was 5 years ago. It's probably a little higher today, the starting pay, than it was 5 years ago. But I also don't want you guys to compare yourselves to me. That's not like what we're here for. I'm here to give you guys my experience and my knowledge so that you guys can like better understand. So I went on Indeed. I went on a few websites. I went on like 4. So one of them is Indeed. They said for their entry paralegal level, it starts from $16 to $25. In ZipRecruiter, they said any level. So Indeed was entry level, and that was $16 to $25 an hour. ZipRecruiter says any. Mind you, I think minimum wage right now in California, it depends. I want to say it's between $12 and $15, depending on how big your company is that you work for. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's roughly like the minimum wage in LA, at least right now, California. So ZipRecruiter says any paralegal from entry to senior level can make from $44,000 to $87,000 per year. Glassdoor reports any paralegal can make between $50 and $78. See, Glassdoor reports it. Their lower number is higher and their higher number is lower. So honestly, it all depends. And then lastly, I checked salary.com as well because I've used them. From my experience, Glassdoor has been the most accurate, but any of these could honestly, it just really depends. Salary.com reports a senior paralegal can make from $83K to $120K per year. So I will say that these numbers, I mean, they were roughly kind of in the same range. And that's California, or I think I looked up LA County, and that's based on minimum wage and how much the living is, the cost of living is. So if you're in another state and you're like, dang, I'm an entry level and I'm not making that much, your cost of living in your state or whatever is probably not as expensive. So you have to kind of take all things into consideration. Always make sure that, you know, you're kind of getting a good end of the stick. You know, make sure you do your research for where you live. Make sure you talk to other people. And this is like another thing. A lot of people don't like to talk about, you know, salaries. And don't get me wrong, like I don't like to discuss that either. But especially with people that I'm working with, because that could be like an uncomfortable topic. But you never know. They may be sufficient or qualify in other areas. Like they may be really good with like certain software programmings, or like, for example, I'm a notary. So, you know, at my last firm, I was used a lot for my notary skills because they like to have a notary in the office. Granted, I was able to charge them because they didn't pay for me to get my notary license, but every time I notarized for them, I charged what you can charge for being a notary in California. But I say all that to say everyone is different. So even if your counterpart makes a couple more dollars than you never know what could be on their resume or what they could be bringing to the table that you aren't. That's why I say if you have any chance to like sharpen your skill, to take a course, to get LexisNexis certified, or just do anything, I'm telling you, everything helps, especially when it comes to negotiating that salary. Okay. Moving on to the next question. It said, is it good to do a paralegal program at a community college, even if it's ABA certified? Of course, there's nothing wrong with paralegal programs at community colleges. I worked with somebody in the past who had their paralegal certificate. Granted, they probably got it 10 years prior to me, which probably isn't a difference. They got theirs from a community college. Chafee, like we mentioned earlier a couple questions ago, that's a community college as well. So I don't think there's anything wrong with getting it at a community college. Like I said, I put myself in an employer's shoes. Okay, so like let's say they're really trying to pick between two candidates and you guys both have great personalities, you guys are just like giving energy, you guys both have the same a bachelor's degree, you guys both have a paralegal certificate. It's like, okay, these candidates are neck and neck. Like, how are we going to decide? You guys both have the same 3 years experience. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Like, you guys are both certified in LexisNexis. It's like, I think of all possible, okay, what else can they look at? Unfortunately, but fortunately, schools have rankings. So, I mean, you guys know, if you guys are in law, you guys know that that's how law schools are. Law schools are ranked. They say the people ranked at the top of law schools, get the higher salaries when they graduate. I personally, no one's ever told me this, but I personally believe that trickles down into being a paralegal too, because one, why wouldn't it? And two, it just makes sense. So if they've looked at all of those things and then they say, okay, I mean, but how many times are you going to be in this position? You never know. I'm crazy and I just like to think of worst possible outcomes, like how to beat out my candidate. Like, I hope that doesn't sound bad, but unfortunately it's really a competitive field that we're in. So yeah, I was like, the community college that I wanted to go to was like literally not even 10 minutes from my house. But then UCLA was an hour and a half and I had to go Monday through Thursday. Like, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna sacrifice now and just, you know, chuck it up or whatever and go. And I'm so glad I did, because I never know if I'll be working where I'm working if I had some junior college that maybe the person interviewing me has probably never heard of, when I'm pretty sure most people have heard of UCLA. So again, there's nothing wrong. Is it good to go to a paralegal school at community college? Again, there's nothing wrong with it at all. You know, you're advancing your career and you're doing amazing. But I think for me personally, again, don't compare us. It's just the type of person you are and the type of mindset you have. If you already know what law firm you're going into, if you know the attorney, then no need of like wasting that extra money or the extra drive to go to a university, you know. But if you're like, you know, trying to be at like, you know, I don't know, like McDonald's or like the other example I gave, then I guess they're gonna look more, you know, deeper into your background. That question was tough because I want to answer it without trying to, you know, make anybody feel bad. I think that advancing your career and going to school is always a great thing, but that is a topic, you know, getting it from a junior college versus a university. You know, jobs, people say that jobs don't ask, but you know, a year ago when I got my new job, they did ask for both of my degrees. They asked for my bachelor's degree, like not just, you know, do you have one? No, they asked for a copy of it. And then they also asked for a copy of my paralegal certificate. So jobs do ask for it. If people say they don't, maybe that's not their experience, but again, I'm just here to tell you my experience. So the last question I'm gonna answer is, it says, would this be a possibility for me? ? I'm currently at school for communications, but considering changing paths and becoming a paralegal. My school doesn't have a law program. Okay, got it. So basically, I think this person is saying that they're currently getting their bachelor's and they're majoring in communications, but they want to switch to law. Okay, so here's the thing that's like super tricky. I'm pretty sure you guys know this. To go to law school, it does not matter what your bachelor's degree is in. It could be in science, it could be in art, it can be in criminal justice, it could be in pre-law, it could be in design. All you need for law school is to take that LSAT and to have a bachelor's. It does not matter what your bachelor's degree is in. For me, my bachelor's, as you guys know, was in criminology and criminal justice. That was because I wanted to go in the criminal field. Like I wanted to be in forensic science and do all that criminal stuff. But within that, there was a lot of law classes, which makes sense because it's criminal justice. You're learning about like the justice system and the law. But I'm pretty sure your college, you should check. I'm pretty sure your college has, even if they don't have a pre-law program, because my Cal State Long Beach did not have a pre-law program, but they did have a criminology and criminal justice undergraduate program. So maybe you can switch into that. I don't know how deep you are into your degree. Dang, leave a comment because I want to like talk to you more about this. If you are watching this video, leave a comment under this one and maybe we can talk more. But I don't know how deep you are into your degree. If you're in like your first 2 years in, that's an easy transfer for sure. Because it's just your prereqs, which is your first 2 years. Then you can start getting into like your law courses. But even if you're, you know, about to graduate in next semester, I would say don't change. To me, from my personal experience, I'm not a professional. Please don't, you know, think I am. But from my personal experience, I don't think it's that serious if you finish with communications and then you go ahead and get your paralegal certificate, because that's already going to be geared towards paralegal. And then, you know, it's going to look good because you already have a bachelor's. I mean, you have it in communications, but a bachelor's is a bachelor's at the end of the day, right? It'll get you in the door, and then they'll see that you'll have your paralegal certificate, so that'll be even more better. So yeah, I'd say it depends how deep you are into your degree. If you're definitely, you know, pretty deep, not too deep in, then I'd definitely change to either criminology, criminal justice, see if they have pre-law. Then the last thing I was going to say is if they don't have it as a major, a lot of universities have minors, which a lot of people don't even know. So you can keep your major as communications and then maybe add law as your minor. Like maybe they're not heavy enough on law to have it as a major. Maybe they have a couple courses here and there so that you can at least stick that in as a minor, and that'll be attached to your degree as well. So you'll have your bachelor's communications with a minor in criminology, criminal justice, or pre-law, whatever. Like, so for example, my bachelor's reads Bachelors of Science in Criminology/Criminal Justice with a minor in Forensic Science. So your degree will definitely read that. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. I'm like getting really too far in. I have like 6 more questions to go. I did not mean to talk this long, but from my experience on other videos that I posted, I feel like you guys have follow-up questions to my questions. So I was like, let me start answering less questions, but like going deeper in the questions, if that makes sense. Tell me if you guys like this style better. Again, leave me more questions. We'll continue to do more parts to them. Definitely going to be a part 3 to this paralegal Q&A. Oh, I've also been answering a lot of questions in the comments. If they're like super short questions, I've just been, sorry guys, my phone cut off. So I've just been going ahead and answering the questions down in the comments in addition to doing these Q&As. So thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Again, I appreciate all the love and support, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.
You see money all around me. I look like I'm the man.